Okay, so picture this, right? You're out on the golf course, sun shining, but it's not a vacation. No, it's your office. You're teaching, you're sharing your love for the game, helping people improve, maybe even making a good living at it. Sounds pretty dreamy, doesn't it?
It does.
But how do you actually make that dream, becoming a golf instructor, a reality? Well, that's what we're diving into today.
Let's go.
We're taking a swing at this topic, and we've got some really interesting stuff from RoleCatcher. They're not just about how to swing a club, they really get into what building a whole career in golf instruction looks like.
Yeah, and it's way more than just, here's how you hold a club.
Right, exactly. Like, one thing that stood out to me from RoleCatcher is how much they emphasize this personalized approach. It's not one size fits all, right?
Not at all. Yeah. It's really fascinating how much it comes down to understanding the individual golfer. You've got to figure out their goals, their strengths, their weaknesses, everything.
Right.
And then you tailor your teaching to that specific person.
So it's almost like you're a golf detective.
A little bit, yeah.
You've got to figure out what makes them tick, not just show them some perfect swing that might not even work for them.
Absolutely. It's about guiding them on their own golf journey, which, by the way, that reminds me of another thing RoleCatcher talks about, helping students with equipment, which, let's be honest,
Oh, that's huge.
it can be so overwhelming, right? Especially if you walk into a pro shop.
Don't even get me started. The clubs, the balls, the gadgets.
Exactly. A good instructor can cut through all that noise and help you find what actually works for you.
Makes it way less intimidating, more about the right tool for the job. So you're not just a swing coach, you're a bit of a golf gear guru too.
There you go. And honestly, think about those skills, right? Understanding different learning styles, communicating clearly, building that rapport, that goes way beyond golf. It's valuable in any field.
Totally. So, okay, we've established being a golf instructor is about way more than just being good at golf.
Oh, for sure.
But like any job, there are pros and cons. And I appreciate that RoleCatcher doesn't sugarcoat that.
No, they're upfront about it. They paint a really realistic picture.
Yeah.
So on the plus side, you've got flexibility, you're outdoors, and the earning potential, if you build a good client base, can be really good. But it can be seasonal, especially depending on where you live. It's physically demanding, being on your feet all day, and let's be honest, it can be a pretty competitive field.
Yeah, it's not all sunshine and birdies.
Yeah.
So for someone listening who's thinking, okay, I love this idea, but is it right for me? What would you say? How do they figure out if they've got what it takes for this career?
Self-awareness is key, 100%. RoleCatcher really pushes this idea of thinking about if you're okay with your income, maybe not being super consistent. Are you up for the physical side of it? And I think this is probably the most important one. Do you actually enjoy teaching? Do you like coaching?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to romanticize it, but the day-to-day, you got to love that part of it.
Finding that balance, right? The passion for the game with a realistic view of the work. So let's say someone's considered the pros and cons and they're still all in. What's next? What's the actual path to becoming an instructor?
That's where things get interesting. And I'll tell you, it's not always as straightforward as you might think.
It's not just about being good at golf, is it?
That helps, but it's just the start. RoleCatcher highlights a few different things you can do. Formal education, like a degree in something related to sports or even business, that can be valuable, but it's not like you have to have it. What they really emphasize, though, is experience.
Getting out there on the ground, actually working with other golfers.
Exactly. And it doesn't even have to be this fancy paid position at first. Volunteering at a golf club, being an assistant instructor, even just caddying to observe different players and how other people teach.
Soaking it all up.
Yep, getting your feet wet, making connections, and learning by doing. Nothing beats that.
It's like an apprenticeship almost, right? You're there to learn the ropes from the people who've been doing it.
100%. And speaking of getting an edge, another thing RoleCatcher talks about is certifications.
Right. Because, I mean, anyone can say they're a golf instructor, but having those credentials, that's got to make a difference.
Huge difference. They specifically mentioned the PGA professional certification, also the USGTF certification. Those show you've put in the work, you have the knowledge, you're the real deal.
It's like that stamp of approval, right? Shows you're serious about it. And I'm guessing probably helps you charge more too.
You know it. People are willing to pay a premium for an instructor who has those credentials, shows you're invested in what you do.
Makes total sense. So it's not just about learning, it's about building that reputation, that authority.
And what's interesting is that even applies to something like golf instruction, right? This whole idea of networking, building your brand, always learning.
Hmm.
That's not just for tech startups or whatever.
It's like no matter what you do, you got to be on top of your game.
Exactly. And this is where those RoleCatcher career stages come in, which I think is
Mhm.
a really cool concept.
Yeah, they map out these different stages of being an instructor, like from trainee all the way up to head instructor, almost like leveling up in a video game or something.
Right. And each level has its own set of expectations, responsibilities, earning potential, all of that. So even if you're just starting out, you can see, okay, here's where I can go with this.
Gives you something to aim for,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Gain experience, take on more, maybe even end up leading your own program someday.
Exactly. It's about having that long-term vision, right? Like, what does success look like to you? And RoleCatcher really gives you the tools to figure that out. Speaking of tools, can we talk about the tech side of RoleCatcher for a sec?
Yeah.
Because that's where I was blown away.
I was going to say, it's not just a career guide, is it? They've got this whole other side, like really practical tools.
It shows you how important tech is now, even for something like golf. They have tools to
So
analyze job postings, tailor your resume, even connect you directly with people who are hiring golf instructors.
it's like having this secret weapon for your job hunt. You're not just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best.
Right. You're using data, you're
Oh.
using tech to your advantage, which, let's be real, you kind of have to do these days if you want to stand out.
Absolutely. But even with all the practical stuff, all the
Mm.
tech and strategies, there's something else that feels really important here when it comes to being a truly great golf instructor.
Oh, 100%. We've touched on it a bit, but it's worth diving into. We've talked skills, certifications, even the tech side of things. But then there's those intangible qualities, right?
Right.
The things that make someone truly exceptional.
That it's factor.
Yeah, exactly. That thing that makes a student go, I want to learn from this person.
Yeah. Is it passion? Is it just this natural ability to teach? What is it?
It's a mix, right? It's passion, for sure. It's that genuine love for the game that just comes out in every lesson.
It's got to be authentic, right? People can tell if you're faking it.
Oh, yeah, they can smell it a mile away.
Yeah.
But it's also more than that. It's knowing how to read people, understanding what that particular student needs in that moment.
It's like you can be the best golfer in the world, but if you can't communicate that, if you can't connect with the person you're teaching,
It's not going to work.
not at all. It's like the difference between reading about a golf swing in a book
Oh, yeah.
versus, actually feeling it click when you're out there on the course. Like,
Yeah.
you need both, right?
Absolutely. And that's where that passion comes through in different ways, right? Because not every instructor is going to be this super peppy, encouraging type.
Right. Some are more, here's what you're doing wrong kind of people.
Exactly. But it's still coming from that same place, that love of the game.
It's about figuring out what works for that student in that moment. Some need a little more hand-holding, some need a kick in the pants.
And a good instructor can read that.
That-
They know how to adjust based on, like you said, the person's personality, how they learn best. That's the real art of it, I think.
So it's not even about having all the answers, really. It's about creating a space where the student feels comfortable to, ask questions, try stuff out.
Make mistakes.
Exactly. Because that's how you improve, right?
100%. It's that whole growth mindset. You mess up, you learn, you get better on the course and off it, honestly.
So much this applies to just life in general.
For sure. And a good golf instructor, they get that. They're not just trying to get you to hit the ball farther, they're trying to.
They're trying to teach you about more than just golf.
Exactly. It's about building that relationship, helping them see what they can do, and hopefully getting them hooked on the game for life.
I love that. So anyone listening who's ever even just considered maybe someday being a golf instructor, RoleCatcher is definitely the place to start.
They give you the roadmap, no question. All the practical steps, the skills you need, even the tech stuff to make it happen in today's world.
But, like we've been saying this whole time, the real magic, that comes from within.
It's that passion, that dedication to what you do and wanting to share it with other people. That's what makes someone truly great at this.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of golf instruction. Hope you all enjoyed it, maybe learned a thing or two, and who knows, maybe we've even inspired a future golf instructor or two out there. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep on swinging.